Joining me this evening is a journalist, activist, and also social media influencer. Saurav Das joins us. He's a columnist as well with the Frontline magazine. Thank you so much, Saurav, for joining. I would like to begin with you about the comment made by Chief Justice Suryakant. Now, he said in his clarification that media misquoted him. I went back to look at the clip where he very seamlessly uses words like cockroaches and parasites. He says that the youngsters are like parasites, and he goes on to say it effortlessly. So, how is he saying that he was misquoted by a section of the media?
Unfortunately, Neelu, people holding public offices these days actually, I think they really believe that people are fools and they would not be able to understand what is going on behind the scenes or connect the dots when it comes to issues like this. And therefore, you're right. When one goes back and looks at that clip, it's quite clear that whatever be the context, the use of such words itself is condemnable. And the Chief Justice of India, who's supposed to be this kind of guardian of people's rights, of the downtrodden, and is the last authority when it comes to people's rights, is using this kind of language, be it against anyone, Nilu, whatever be the context. Context is not important here.
When the story broke that day, I think you were the first one to raise this issue that Rahul Gandhi should move an impeachment motion against Chief Justice of India. I found no other person on the social media talking about this. Why hasn't the opposition taken up this?
The issue is, unfortunately, with our opposition, they are very concerned when it comes to, our courts and what is happening with our judicial system. But nobody is willing to talk about it or take a strong stand against it because all their cases are now before the same set of judges and courts, right? And that is the larger issue. When I gave that statement about impeachment and that the leader of opposition should look at it, it's because certain things in life are non-negotiable. They are not on the cards to negotiate with. One of them being tolerating such statements from the highest judicial office of this country. For instance, when the pollution protests took place in Delhi, and I spoke to you around that time, I
Yes.
told you this, that clean air cannot be negotiated with, and therefore it's a minimum duty of our opposition leaders, of people to actually come up and talk about the issue. And keeping that in mind, I said, that this kind of a statement from the CJI cannot be tolerated with, and he should be removed from the office for the from so that he cannot hold the rest of his tenure. And that's the issue. I mean, nobody wants to take a strong stand because it's too radical, and sub log, everybody wants to be very cozy and gentle.
The immediate reaction amongst the journalistic fraternity is थोड़ा बचकर चलो. He's a CJI Chief Justice of India है, contempt हो जाएगा. This is the immediate reaction which comes from the journalistic quarters. Not all journalists are ready to pick up this issue.
Exactly. And the fear of contempt was very high before, say, 2016, 2017. Journalists used to talk about it in hush hush tones. But what has happened is, the video conferencing facilities have started. Everything is online. People are getting news from Live Law, Bar and Bench, other judicial law reporters, minute by minute. So there's a lot of transparency, much more transparency in the process, in the judicial proceedings, because of which judges have been unable to handle this kind of sunshine in their courts. And therefore people are not willing to be that hesitant as they were previously,
No,
and
but
that's why you see.
are you ready to give benefit of doubt to Justice Suryakant that okay, he must have made a comment without realizing the import of it and what could be the implication he wouldn't have realized, and he just made a comment like what he said. Oh, it was a frivolous case, and I was trying to, and I was misquoted.
See,
And then
Neelu,
he said Saurav about that he was talking about the fake degrees of
yeah.
people who come to the bar.
See, unfortunately, fake degrees is a problem. There are a lot of, black coat people who do not have degrees and are scamming their clients and being a burden on the system. That's true. But when you are a judge and holding such a high position, your judicial temperament should talk about you. And you can't have such temperament, because this is not the very only time that Chief Justice Suryakant has made such statements. 15th May he gave this statement about cockroaches. 11th May he spoke about environmentalists, how they have never welcomed development projects. He said, हमें एक बार भी दिखा दो अगर कोई environmentalists have welcomed projects, development projects. So in a way he says कि environmentalists are against development. 29 January he gave a statement about trade unions, saying that these trade unions are responsible for country not progressing in terms of industries. So such are his statements. 2nd December he said something about Rohingyas, saying that India, do you think we should have the obligation to welcome intruders into our country with flowers? He gave such a statement in a very sensitive case where there was a legal challenge to certain people being randomly picked up without process of law from Delhi and pushed into some other country in Bangladesh. Instead of hearing that case sensitively and deciding the question of law, he gave such a statement. When there was a lot of furor, similarly to what has happened on 12th December, a few days after that comment, he said that I won't be browbeaten. And there's a concerted attempt against me and on social media, and people are critiquing because of such a concerted campaign. Then 3rd March last year, Nilu, he said that certain brainless people are writing on free speech. We know how to handle them also. These were his words. This was in the beer biceps matter. So it's not just a objectionable statement, but is also a veiled threat against people writing on free speech who he thinks are brainless. And similarly, in the Ashoka officer Mahmoodabad's case, in May 2025, he said the very same thing, that people who are protesting his arrest, we know how to handle them also. So it's not the first time that he has done this, and he has done it several
By
times
and
in the
large, what is the impression which Chief Justice is deliberately or inadvertently trying to tell the people, that sitting at the highest seat of the Chief Justice of India, he doesn't like people who are raising questions. He doesn't like people who are holding the power to account. Is that the message which is going?
Clearly, it reflects a mentality of that sorts, because the judges in our country, unfortunately for our system and for our people, they already have a God syndrome. They think they are above questioning, and so far, there has been really no system put in place where you hold judges accountable. I mean, Nilu, what is worse than not having an FIR where literally crores of rupees was found to be burning in a judge's home? There's not an FIR till date. So our accountability mechanism when it comes to judges is already very, very poor, and therefore that has made their demeanor as though they are above questioning, almost like gods who can't be questioned, and that their word is the final word on things. So it
Right.
does reflect that mentality. It's a very patriarchal, it's a very paternalistic mentality. It reflects rather very poorly on the Chief Justice's own thinking, right? And for a person to reach CGI ship with such a judicial temperament, it speaks volumes about our system today.
But why do you think Justice Suryakant was forced to issue a clarification? He might as well have continued without giving a clarification. But was it only because of the fury of the social media, the kind of outrage which played out? It was because of that that he was forced to issue a clarification, or the reason was something else?
Absolutely. I mean, it created a huge uproar throughout the country, and the youth of this country, which constitutes about 65% of our population, felt attacked. And a lot of those people are very, internet savvy, social media savvy, and everybody is on socials these days. So comments like these, especially from the Chief Justice of India, from a judge, spreads like wildfire. And I think his comments were spread throughout. It was across not just Twitter, but also on Instagram, on Facebook, and a lot of people were commenting and condemning it. And number two, it's also because people on the right wing, who are supporters of this government, who are conservative when it comes to the judiciary, even they came out in substantial numbers. I was pretty impressed, and took a right stand, saying that we may have our differences with how your style or the manner in which you function, but none of us are cockroaches, and no human being can be called so. Because remember, Nilu, it's almost like your dog whistling in a certain way, because in the Nazi Germany, Jews were called cockroaches. Radio Rwanda used to go against a particular community, saying that they are parasites. So this has happened in the history. For the CGI to use these kind of words does not behove him at all, and that's why he had to, faced with such brutal condemnation and also trolling to certain extent, he had to come out and give that.